So for about a month, I really genuinely believed that I was autistic, and now I realize that I'm not, and I thought I would take you guys on that journey with me and tell you a little bit more about it. If you're new here, hi, welcome to Neurodivergent Magic, the YouTube channel for neurodivergent content. Like I said, today's video is going to be a little bit different than my usual content. It's not going to be super educational. Instead, it's going to be really personal. It's going to be my story of how I thought that I was autistic and how I realized that I'm not. And if you're watching this and you're considering whether or not you might be autistic, my story is just one of many. Just because I realized that I'm not autistic doesn't mean that you're not autistic. I want to be really clear from the start that self-diagnosis is still perfectly valid, and I have no regrets about my self-diagnosis, if I'm being honest. I have some embarrassing moments and things like that, but honestly, nothing that I would take back. Okay, so let's dig into it. What made me think I was autistic in the first place? How did this whole thing get started? The truth is, there were lots of signs that I thought pointed to autism. For instance, I've always had a really hard time with eye contact. In fact, in college, I had a professor who I met with almost every week, and every single week, my eyes would water as I tried to force myself to look him in the eyes, and he would always ask what was wrong, and I always told him I had a cold. So this professor thought that I had a cold for like 4 years. But struggling with eye contact, while it is a very popular sign of autism, is not the only sign of autism. Struggling with eye contact can actually go with lots of other things, like deep-seated shame, which I definitely struggle with, anxiety, and some other stuff. The main reason that I thought I might be autistic is because I've identified as a highly sensitive person for a really long time, and I recently came across some autistic creators' content saying that the highly sensitive person is autism. I even did a whole video, which you can check out here, explaining the differences and similarities between the highly sensitive person and autism. And personally, I do believe that the highly sensitive person is a different way of describing autism. So you might be thinking, how did I come to undiagnose myself with autism if I identified as a highly sensitive person and I believe that a highly sensitive person is autistic? Well, I had to get really honest with myself. The truth is, I don't technically qualify as a highly sensitive person because I'm not highly sensitive to sounds. I'm not highly sensitive to visual stimuli. I'm not highly sensitive to a lot of the physical senses. Instead, I'm highly sensitive to emotions. For a couple of weeks there, I really thought that that meant I was autistic. I thought that high sensitivity, even though it was only in one area, qualified me as an autistic person. But then I started really thinking about the two main hallmarks of autism, which are social difficulties and sensory sensitivities, neither of which I really have. I related to so much about autism that was on the periphery, stuff like executive dysfunction and emotional dysregulation, but I didn't relate to the heart of autism, which was the social difficulties and the sensory sensitivities. And it was really hard, but eventually I did self-diagnose myself with autism. I basically got this gut feeling that told me, Megan, this is wrong. This isn't the answer. This isn't the clearest lens through which to see yourself. And I chose to listen to that voice. Are there still days where I really relate to some autistic content and I start questioning myself? Absolutely, of course there are. But more often than not, I feel really confident in this undiagnosis. I know that I'm not autistic. And I just wanted to come on here and tell you all that because I think it's really important that creators who identify as autistic, if they change their mind like I did, come out and say so, because I don't want you thinking of me as autistic in your mind when it turns out that I'm not. So, what questions do you have for me? Because I know this is a funky story. I know this is a little weird, but I think it's really important because I think more people go through this than we know because a lot of people don't talk about it because it is a little embarrassing to say that you were wrong, that you messed up. But I'm owning that. I thought I was autistic and that's okay. And I realize now that I'm not autistic and that's okay too. Let me know what questions you have in the comments. I would love to answer them. As always, thank you so much for watching and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any more content about neurodivergence.